Good morning. Hey, you guys. Look, I got the sun shining on me here. It's a kind of a crazy time. So I just want to share with you that I had a thing yesterday. I think, my gosh, sometimes shit comes up, feelings, and I've done enough work and enough reading and enough investigation over the last few years, 40 of them, that when stuff's happening, I can feel it and I see it. And the old way when we had feelings was to sometimes to blame, to say, you made me feel. You made me feel. How could you have done that? Or to run away, because fight or flight comes up, and sometimes with feelings and shit. This thing that happened to me yesterday and last night was unbelievable. It was like so strong, and yes, I wanted to run. It's kind of been going on for a few days, and I didn't realize. I just didn't realize what it was, and maybe now I'll just share with you that you know I'm on my way to the Vancouver Island to spend some time with my brother, who's has some health things, and we're gonna we're gonna spend some time together. And I love him, and I'm honored to be able to do that. And I stopped in Vancouver to visit with a friend, actually an old lady friend that in my life that that we have spend time with sometimes, and my daughter, who lives in Squamish, she and her husband, have decided that in this time, this COVID time, that it would be better if I didn't didn't come to visit. And so I had no, I knew that that was uncomfortable, but I didn't realize how uncomfortable. I didn't realize that, you know, and and I went out there yesterday to because I wanted to see the grandkids and stuff, and I knew that I wasn't going to go to the house, but I was going to see them after school, and it was difficult. Oh my gosh, it was just and what I didn't realize is that all these old things, this old feelings, this old stuff from literally in the body from childhood was just moved up. It was like, wow, and I was in a bit of a state. I don't even know if I should have been driving, but and it was hard. It was like, oh my gosh. So I see today, it took all night, really, literally all night, to kind of identify. There was these stuff about rejection, even though it's not, intellectually, I can say, oh yeah, it's just because of COVID, they're being careful, but there was all kinds of things around family and rejection and abandonment and stuff that from in the cellular level, in the cellular level, and it was crazy. It really was. Just a second. And wow, tough night because it didn't just come up and move. I came back and into town to stay with my friends and she went into some stuff about you know that happened between us like 2 or 3 years ago, and it just compounded. It was like, holy Toledo. I just had to breathe, just to breathe through it, and I learned this new technique about the to take in 2 breaths and just let it out like that, and it kind of moves the energy. And it was like, tough night. I had, I guess I'm not, I think most of my life I just masked all that stuff. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm allowing myself to feel shit and to move through it, because if I keep it, it holds me in an old place. And my fever desire is to be free in the moment, and so anything that's kind of held in there that, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I wouldn't have said that ever before, but I feel like, wow, this is yeah. I'm grateful, but it was painful. And so just watch. I guess my thing this morning is to just share that. Watch when stuff's coming up. You know, Pause. Take a moment and feel and look at it and talk to somebody. I did. I called a buddy, my buddy Barry, who I often call, who doesn't try to fix me, who just listens, sometimes asks questions. And, I'm grateful to be, at my age and still be moving through stuff, and feeling stuff and growing, I guess, growing or letting go. Um, I'm doing lots of work that's coming my way around healing old trauma. I was so kind of locked up most of my life, even in recovery, that I denied it was even there. I said, no, it wasn't there, but it was. I mean, I grew up in an alcoholic home, and it was a rough go. I was pretty much moved out by the time I was 15, and street time in Toronto and street time in Vancouver as a kid, so it wasn't an easy go. And um, and so out of that stuff happened. There was, I'll call it stuff, that got locked in the system, and it's still moving, it's still coming out, and so I have to pay attention, and that's what I'm doing, is paying attention and allowing stuff to happen, and saying thank you, and for even this kind of thing. So I'm grateful. Hard, but grateful. Yeah. I don't know if any of that made sense, but I kind of wrote it out, when before I said, well, I have a little note that comes with this, and maybe you can look at it, and it explains a little bit, about that as we become more vulnerable, we're able to allow stuff to move, to just sit quietly and just let it happen, instead of acting out or finding comfort, and that's kind of what I did last night, and didn't sleep much, it just felt like I was in an altered state as this old stuff, I think, just moved out. I think I need some body work. All right, well, here we are, you guys. This is recovery, isn't it? Now, where's my little book? There it is. We're going to see what the 24-hour day book says. We never know if it's going to have anything to do with what we talked about, but February the 9th, it says, in the past, well, we're kind of talking a bit about past, aren't we? Because, it's interesting, that all my life in recovery, people have said that stuff gets built up on a cellular level in their bodies, and that's what it felt like last night. It's like this stuff was moving, it really came out of me. Look at the sun shining in behind me. It's pretty amazing. In the past, it says, we kept right on drinking in spite of all the trouble we got into. We were foolish enough to believe that drinking could still be fun in spite of everything that happened to us. When we came into the 12-step world, we found a lot of people who, like ourselves, had fun when they were drinking, but who now admitted that drinking and alcohol and drugs and all that other shit, food and sex, anything we use for comfort, had become nothing but trouble for them. And we found that this thing had happened to a lot of other people besides ourselves, we realized that perhaps we weren't such queer birds after all. Interesting word, the 50s, eh? It was written in the 50s, so we weren't odd birds. We were the odd birds. Have I learned to admit that? For me, drinking has ceased to be fun and become nothing but trouble. Yes, 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 yes. Meditation for the day. The lifeline, the line of rescue, is the line from the soul to God. On one end of the lifeline is our faith, the other end is God's power. Can be a strong line, and no soul can be overwhelmed who is linked to God by it. I feel like yesterday, I've been so connected to that source, to that, I am that source, and we are that, it isn't separate, but this realization of that is so strong that we were able to move through some pretty cool stuff. Can be a strong line, and no soul can be overwhelmed who is linked to God by it. I will trust in this lifeline and never be afraid. God will save me from doing wrong and from the cares and troubles of life. I will look to God for help and trust him to aid when I am emotionally upset. When I am emotionally upset, yes. I was emotionally upset. Prayer for the day. I pray that no lack of trust or fearlessness will make me disloyal to myself, to God, to love. I pray that I may keep a strong hold on the lifeline of faith. Beautiful. Well, you guys, I'm running a little late. I got to go catch a ferry, and I'm going to go catch a ferry. And so I think we're going to pass on the meditation this morning. Just you do it. Take 3 or 4 minutes, get in a comfortable position, breathe, drop in, sit. It's really essential. It really is. Okay? Love you, and thanks for just letting me share this. If it's helpful to anybody, super. Okay. Love you lots. Cheers.